Hey everyone, Mr. MC here. This is a guide for round 2 of the 2023 Nations Cup taking place at Fuji International Speedway with any Group 2 car. And for this guide, I'll be using the 2016 Honda NSX Concept GT. So for those in GT1, this is a 30 lap race. For those in GT2 and 3, this is a 20 lap race where BOP is on, but you can adjust the brake balance, and you will definitely need to do that to make your tires last as long as possible. Fuel is a ×2, tire is a ×4, where you need to use both the racing medium and soft tires. And do note that slipstream strength is set to real, which means that dirty air is going to be a royal pain in the behind. But now let's go on over to the lap guide, where out of the brake balance at +2 or 2 to the rear. The wind speed and direction changes each session, so you need to pay attention to that because that will affect how your car handles and where you need to brake, so keep that in mind as you're doing the race. But now let's get started. So bring us up towards the left side of the track, use every single rev that this car has, and you're braking right after you pass the 150 meter board. So you're braking as late as you can with full braking power. Going down to first gear for more rotation, turn in after the 50 meter board, but as you hit the apex, you want to exit on second gear and get on the throttle as soon as you can. Do be careful because this car has a lot of turbo and you don't want to spin yourself out. But anyways, you're looking for the 75 meter marker, which is this little orange marker that's on the right. Brake and turn in at the same time using around 50% braking power. Just trying to maintain all that speed that you can. Be careful about the curb on the right. A little bit of throttle control as you go through 100R, just trying to stay towards the right side of the track. Brake before you reach the 75 meter marker that is on the right, so this little marker right here. Use the sign going over the track as your turning point. Go down to first gear for more rotation, but exit on third gear and try to straighten up the car as soon as you can. That way you can be a little more aggressive on the throttle to gain a bit more speed as you go through 300R, which is this turn right here. You're braking just as you go under the big Dunlop sign that goes over the track. Full braking power going on to first gear for a bit more rotation. You can use the red and white curves as you're still within track limits. Exit on second gear and be really careful with your throttle input, that way you don't spin yourself out. Bring yourself towards the left. You're braking and turning in when the grass on the left ends. Go up to third gear as you're exiting this turn, just being really careful getting on the throttle. Brake when the curb on the left ends. Doing a lot of trail braking as you want to try to go for a late apex out of the penultimate corner. Going on to first gear for more rotation, exit on second gear, and after you pass the path on the right, you're basically going to do the same thing as you did in the last turn. Going on first gear for more rotation, but exit on third gear this time. Go for a late apex and get on the throttle as soon as you can. And that is it for this lap guide. So in a moment, we'll cross the start finish line and then we'll get started with the strategies because oh boy, there's quite a bit to talk about here. So let's go ahead and get started with that right away. So this is a 30 lap race for those in GT1, 20 lap race for those in GT2 and 3, where the fuel is a ×2, so fuel is not an issue for those in GT2 and 3. It is close to being an issue for those in GT1, but as long as you keep an eye on your fuel usage, using around 3% of fuel per lap, then you should be good to go. Tire wear is a ×4, and tire wear will be an issue for all 3 leagues. You have to use both the racing soft and medium tires so you don't get a 1 minute penalty after the race ends. If you're starting at the very front, start on the racing soft tires to try to get away from everyone else. If you're starting in the middle or in the back, start on the racing medium tires to get the slower tire compound out of the way, and because you're gonna have to deal with dirty air. So these Group 2 cars generate a lot of dirty air, so whenever you're behind someone, you're getting less downforce as you're going through a turn, which means that you're more prone to understeering. And if you try to fight it out by trying to turn in even more, you're only going to scrub with your tires and your tire will go faster. So that's something you want to try to be careful about whenever you're behind someone. Try to avoid the dirty air if you can, but if you have to be stuck under it, then drive a little more carefully so you don't scrub off your tires way too quickly. Racing soft tires last anywhere from 10 to 14 laps, and this will depend on how good you are with your tire management skills and your brake balance. And I think I've already mentioned this. I have my brake balance at +5 or all the way to the rear of the car to try to save the front tires, especially the front left tire, from wearing out way too fast. And you also want to try to drive as smoothly as possible to make these tires last as long as possible. Because for those in GT2 and 3, this is a straightforward one-stop race. Try to make those racing soft tires last as long as possible. If you're in GT1, this is where it is much less straightforward, and I'll talk a bit more about that later. But we're almost halfway into the race, so lap number 10, you can see that the racing soft tires are wearing out pretty quickly. Laps 2 to 8, I was in the 131s. Things are looking pretty good, but now the tire wear is really starting to creep up on me. So lap number 9, I started to poke into the 132s. And again, just try to drive as smoothly as possible. You want to make these tires last as long as possible. I cannot emphasize this enough, because if you thrash the car around, your tires are going to suffer. Even more so if you're trying to do a one-stop in the GT1 league, because yeah, I don't know how you're going to make that work. But still, just drive as smoothly as possible. Try to avoid the dirty air. Adjust your brake balance settings to make your tires last as long as possible, because yeah, it's a pretty difficult race, this one, especially if you're in GT1. So end of lap number 10. So this is the halfway point for those in GT2 and 3. At the end of lap number 11, I'm going to switch over to the racing medium tire. So this is going to be my end of lap number 11. Also be aware that if you save the racing soft tires for stint number 2, if you're doing the one stop, those tires will last a bit longer because you have used up quite a bit of fuel. So your car is a bit lighter, it's better on tire management, and you can go a bit faster because there's less weight in your car. And that also applies to the racing medium tires as well. So switch over to the racing medium tires, no need to refuel. Pit loss is 18 seconds, and we're going to continue on our merry way. Just try to drive as smoothly as possible. Keep the brake balance at +5. So we're going to skip on over towards the end of the race for those in GT2 and 3. So this is the end of lap number 20, where the racing mid tires, they're looking pretty good. Still try to drive as smoothly as possible because I'm actually doing dirty laps in this footage, so just want to point that out there. But this will be the end of the race for those in GT2 and 3, end of lap number 20, where it's over 30 minutes long. This one I think was 30 minutes and 56 seconds. Is it 56? Yeah, 30 minutes and 56 second race for those in GT2 and 3. So pretty long race this one. So make sure you're on your A game for those in GT2 and 3. Again, this is a one-stop race. Make sure you use the racing soft and medium tires so you don't get the 1 minute penalty after the race ends. But now we're going to go ahead and focus on GT1 because this is where it gets a lot less straightforward. So I'm going to go ahead and skip over towards the end of the race. So lap 30 out of 30. Fuel is a little close, so I still going to keep an eye on it, but I should be good to go because I'm using just a tiny bit under 3% of fuel per lap. So I should be good to go. I haven't really been doing any sort of fuel saving, but my tire wear is looking pretty abysmal. So just trying to drive as smoothly as possible, trying to drive as carefully as possible because yeah, you really need to do that to make a one-stop work. Because look at that front left tire. It is on the verge of just dying. So I'm just trying to be as careful as possible to make sure that it doesn't collapse on me. before I cross the finish line to end this race. And this is what you really need to be careful about if you're doing the one stop. It's not going to be easy because this one stop for GT1 is a lot easier said than done. As I've mentioned before, gotta drive as smoothly as possible. Gotta adjust your brake balance settings to try to make your tires last longer. Gotta try to avoid the dirty air because the dirty air will make your tires wear out even faster. And also just don't make mistakes, because if you make mistakes, then that's going to erase your tire wear. You can see that I'm just crawling through the final corner, just trying to survive this last lap as my front left tire is just about to wear out. Again, this is not an easy strategy to do. With this run, I was able to do 11 laps on the soft tires, 19 laps on the medium tires, and with my total time for this race was 46 minutes and 26 seconds. So that's going to be the bar that is set, because we're going to go ahead and compare this to the two stops. So in this run, I went 11 laps on the racing soft tires, 12 laps on the racing soft tires, so 2 soft stints, and then I went 7 laps on the racing medium tires. Of course, you can adjust the tire order depending on where you're starting, or if you need to make an adjustment in the middle of the race. But this is the strategy I'm going with: 11 soft, 12 soft, 7 medium. So end of lap 11, yeah, my front tires are dead. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over to another set of racing soft tires. So you will be able to go faster, which is pretty nice. And you've already used up quite a bit of fuel, so you will go a little bit faster. Your tires will last a little bit longer. But this is the problem with the two-stop. You're losing another 18 seconds, so you have to be really freaking fast to try to make up for the additional pit loss time. And in a way, you kind of have to hope all the one-stoppers start to fight it out, because if they fight it out, then they'll lose a lot of time, which will give you a chance to catch up to them. But you still want to try to drive as smoothly as possible, especially on your racing soft tires, because you want to make them last as long as possible before you start to lose a lot of time, before that front left tire, especially in my case, before it wears out so fast that you're just understeering for days. So yeah, even if you're two-stopping, gotta make those tires last. Gotta drive as smoothly as possible. Gotta avoid that dirty air, avoid any unnecessary battles. But anyways, we're gonna go ahead and pit on over towards the end of lap number 23. Please do not hit the wall. Don't do what I just did right now. But anyways, end of lap number 23. We're gonna go ahead and pit on over to the racing medium tires. So I'm doing a 7-lap stint on the racing medium tires, not taking in any fuel. I didn't do it on the first pit stop. I didn't do it here. So no need to refuel, because you're only going to lose more time if you do decide to refuel. So we're going to go ahead and skip on over towards the end of the race. So a 7-lap stint on the racing medium tires. So end of the race for the two-stop, and with this run I got a 46 minute and 30 second run. So 4 seconds slower than my one stop, but I don't think this race is that straightforward, because if you can't make the one stop work, then you're gonna have to go with the two stop. But with the two stop, it is a bit of a safer option, but still not the fastest strategy. But a lot of things can happen in a 46 minute race, so there is still a chance that the two stop can work. But if you constantly get held up by the dirty air, if you get held up in battles, then that can hurt your progress. But still, with that one stop, yeah, you're only stopping one time, but you do have to take really good care of those tires, because tire wear is no joke here. And if you're really poor when it comes to tire management, then the one stop may not be the strategy for you. It may not, the two stop may not be the winning strategy, but I mean, with 4-second gap in a 46 minute race, a lot of things can happen, and who knows, a two stop may work, a one stop may work. And yeah, this race is just not straightforward at all for GT1 in terms of strategy. I've been hearing that some are going to go with the one stop, some are going to go with the two stop. So I guess it's going to be a matter of which strategy works better for each individual and hope that it works out for them in the end. But yeah, me personally, I feel a little faster in the one stop, so that's the one I'm going to go with. And I'm just going to go into this race and hope for the best. But yeah, that's going to be it for this one. This took a lot of time to try to figure this out. But yeah, hopefully this guide helps you out in any sort of way. And well, I'm going to go to sleep because it's almost 7 in the morning over here and I haven't gone to sleep yet. So see you in the next video.